Oh, brother!
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Your favorite Basement Boys are back. Basement Brothers podcast, episode number 14. Mr. Mo Money, how are you, my friend?
Doing great. All is well in Arkham Mental Asylum. That's where I'm
Well,
at.
that's all we can ask for, right?
Yeah. How you doing there, JD?
Hanging in there. You know, it's weather's changed and we got the grass growing. Get out in the yard and start doing some yard work and various other chores. So, there's always something popping.
Yeah, you can put on those Bermuda shorts now, huh?
That's right. Get the old pineapple shirt and go out and have a good one.
There you go. What you got for us today?
Well, we got some good old hot topics. Interesting new trend that we've seen today in kind of our age or our time epoch is just the amount of things that are consistently being released, whether it's TV shows now that you can watch on 100 different streaming networks, uh, electronic devices, computer technology, down to video games. We kind of hit a point where there's almost an unending amount of video game releases, and it's getting really hard to keep track of.
Do you ever feel like there's too many games to play? Do you ever feel like you have kind of like a big struggle every time you try to decide to play a new game? This is probably because things have changed quite a bit since the old days. There is so much choice now. That is good for the consumer, but it could also be extremely overwhelming. Yes, you can say this is something of like what people use as like first world problem, but with the amount of services and stuff offered these days, from Xbox Game Pass and everything that gives you, to if you have a PlayStation Plus membership, the free games that gives you, Epic Game Store doles out free games all the time, Steam, you're getting games on sale all the time, you're always building up your backlog. There's a million different examples for how your games could be piling up without you even spending too much extra money, and it can get overwhelming. Now, I posed this problem to a lot of you guys on social media, and there was some good conversation, and I realized like, oh, it wasn't just me, and I've kind of wanted to tackle this topic for a while, but I've kind of had reservations because I thought it was just me, and I was like, get over yourself, you big baby, you can't decide what video game to play.
So, interesting that he's talking about that, and I know you and I, Mo Money, both come from the same kind of time sphere in terms of video games. And I remember, you used to have the arcades back in the days where you maybe got to go in there and there was maybe 10, 15 different types of games you could play.
Yep.
And that was about it. And you had some pinball machines and you had a few recreational things. And so it was just kind of a fun time because you didn't have so many choices.
That's true. Yep. It's a different day and age. There are lots and lots and lots of options. I am not a hardcore gamer at all. I literally have like the retro little consoles that are nothing
Yeah.
more than say like a little controller with a bunch of games built in.
Yep. Yep.
And that's about as much as you'll get from me. But man, there's just tons of game offerings out there.
Yeah, I agree with you too, man. I was a big time gamer about I would say probably into my early, probably from my like maybe the age of 10 all the way until I was about 27, 28.
Mhm.
Uh just big time gamer. And then we kind of hit that rollover where there was just so many game releases coming out at that point already. There was so many different things you could do that you just didn't have the time. Like he kind of says on here, he says, remember having one game to play endlessly for like 8 months. Now there's more games than there would ever be time in your entire life on earth to even play. So it just gets to be like, and for me, I just kind of lost interest. I didn't care about tracking the games anymore. I didn't care about when new games came out. I'm just like you talking about retro games. I play a lot of retro games now, like old arcade games,
Yep.
NES games. Even I went back to playing some of those that were too hard to beat as a kid. Well, they're still too hard to beat, but still fun to play.
Yeah, I think we're just living in a time of excess because I was sitting home. I got like nearly every sort of streaming platform that you could imagine.
Yeah.
Like literally, like even Plex. I've got Plex, and there's a bunch of stuff that's on there. And I sat down over maybe a weekend or two ago, and I just couldn't find anything that I really wanted to watch. Like, imagine I went through like five or so different platforms, and I couldn't settle on what I wanted to watch because there's just so many options that we become we become spoiled, and just nothing's good enough, and it's all just a distraction anyway. And it's crazy.
Dude, it's interesting you said that. I've had the same experience where I'm almost scared to commit to watching something now.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be scrolling through, like, I'll load up a couple of the free apps, or I'll get on Hulu, or I'll get on a few of the paid ones that I have, Paramount Plus or whatever. And it's like I'll find something that I kind of want to watch, but then I think, well, let me spend another 45 minutes looking through the entire list of everything on the platform because I don't want to commit to watching just that one show. I got to look through and
Yep.
see what else is on there.
Yep.
But I'd end up not watching anything. I've literally spent entire nights scrolling through hundreds of episodes and titles and not watching any of them.
Yep, that sounds like me. I literally, and you know what's so funny? As
Uh,
I'm looking for this content, I'm sleepy. I'm really actually sleepy, and I should just turn the television off and go to sleep. But I'm still like, no, I'm gonna find the perfect show. And by the time I find something that I settle on, because it's still not what I really want to watch,
yeah,
I fall asleep immediately. And I'm thinking of these kids with all these video games. It's almost as if it's matching society. Like kids, we have so many cases of ADHD and stuff, like
yeah,
attention deficit disorder, and it's
yes.
like they've designed society around that because they're just trying to capture the kids' attention for just ever so long. So they got all these different games, and it's just crazy. There's so much content out there.
Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of in my older age. I'm kind of relegating myself back to the old times where it's like when you had a couple things you would watch. I've kind of, the other night when I was scrolling endlessly through the shows, it reminded me of the old days when you first got cable TV or dish or something, and you spent,
Mhm.
100 hours scrolling through the channels and never really watching any of them. I'm kind of going back to like stuff that I wanted to watch from some years ago. I'll pick them out and I'll watch them, and then when it's done, I'll leave something on, but it's usually these streaming channels like Pluto now, where it's just plays old stuff. It's
Yeah.
it's like having a TV on and not really watching anything. But it's been so overwhelming finding anything to watch. I really don't watch anything anymore.
Yeah, it's similar for me. I've actually started to look for old shows or movies that I haven't seen. Because, like, if you watch regular television, you're gonna see the same shows. They're gonna have certain syndicated shows that they're gonna have on for a couple of months, and then you're gonna watch like the entire series, like maybe twice, and then they'll yank them, and
Yeah,
then put
yeah,
something else on, and then they'll put it right back in a rotation. I've started looking for older movies. I had what is this? Surviving the Game with
yeah.
Ice
Surviving
T
the Game.
added to Plex, so I watched that.
Yeah,
And
love that
Most
show.
Wanted with Keenan Ivory Wayans, I
Yeah,
watched that. Now what I actually want, I want The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I
just
gotta get
watched The
that on.
Running Man. I just frickin' watched
Oh
The Running Man like 2
man.
days ago, dude.
Oh man, I love The Running
Killian,
Man.
Killian.
Oh man, I love The Running Man. So I gotta get that one on there. And I'm having fun watching old stuff,
Yeah, me
old
too. I do.
stuff.
That's all I watch. All I watch is old shit, just like you're talking about. I think I watched Glimmer Man the other day, of course, with
Yep,
our old friend Steven Seagal.
yep.
Watched what the hell did I watch? Well, Running Man, of course, I watched that. I watched an old movie with Dolph Lundgren that I hadn't seen for a while. The one
Oh, wow.
where he was in Red Scorpion. I don't know if you ever
Oh
saw that, but
man.
it was super old. One of his first real big action movies that he was in all
Yeah.
by himself.
I saw it a long time ago, and I don't remember everything about it, but I did see it.
Yeah, just a lot of shit to watch, and I've been like doing the same thing. I watched a lot of retro stuff. Chuck Norris, I watched Lou Gossett Jr. and him and Firewalker the other day, which is cheesy as hell, but I still like the show.
Well, I don't know what's gonna happen with all the video games, but at the end of the day, these things are just put in place to suck up all of our money and to keep us distracted. From what? I'm not sure. But hopefully it's a better alternative than the next topic we have here. in our first segment.
We
I
could
had
be
an
heading into some dark times.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds like a Steven Seagal movie. What was it, Dark Waters or something? But no, I went to the movies recently, and I'm starting to want to go to the theater again. I don't know why, because for a long time I didn't want to go, and it wasn't just COVID. I just literally didn't find anything interesting. But
I
I went to
agree.
the
I agree.
Yep, I went to the movies recently, and I checked out this flick. Why don't you
Hmm.
run that trailer?
All across America, critics are raving about the movie event of the year.
It is American, 100%. That's what I'm talking about. Cool.
Me and him, we in here. No crime here, just do your dirt and disappear.
Going to DC.
Are you serious? United States are vaporized. They shoot us on sight in the Capitol.
The city blow up.
I've never been scared like that before, and I've never felt more alive.
Holy fucking shit! Our soldiers spray in the top.
You watch. Soon as DC falls, they'll turn on each other.
Whatever happens, we don't quit. Oh my God.
You don't want to miss this.
God bless America.
Don't get captured.
Civil War, rated R. Get tickets now.
Yep. So that's Civil War, and I used to be the guy that would like watch every spoiler or trailer, everything I could before going into a movie, and I usually knew what was going to happen before I sat down in my seat. But
Yeah.
I've been purposefully not doing any sort of background on movies anymore because I want to be surprised. And Civil War is one of those movies, and you watch the trailer, there seems like there's all kinds of things going on, and you kind of have an idea of, there's a civil war. So of course there's some group that's going against the government. And I gotta be honest with you, uh, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Like I had no real context. Like I know there's a toppling of the government, but they're like militia groups, and there's another army, and then the president's got his crew. Like I didn't know what the hell was going on in this movie. And I was thinking about the context of where we are today, where people are literally saying there's going to be a civil war if their favorite person doesn't win the election. And it's like it's kind of a timely thing, but I had no context. And I'm like, maybe I should have done some research because I don't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean, like, but like you said, I mean, I kind of went through the same thing where I didn't want to go to the movie theaters to watch anything free. In fact, I haven't been to a theater in like so many years that it would shock people.
mhm,
I just stopped going for that reason. I didn't find anything interesting in the movies or things to see, so I just didn't care. This movie, I saw the trailer of this. It kind of popped up on an ad on some other website I was on a while back, and I was first of all, I love Jesse Plemons and Kirsten Dunst, and they're actually married in real life.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they're actually husband. And I thought it was really interesting that they were together in a movie because I always loved Jesse Plemons from like Breaking. He was in Breaking Bad, and he always plays like a great psycho.
Yeah,
Just a nutcase character. He was in Fargo, one of the seasons of Fargo too, where him and his wife and actually his wife was in that too. As him and Kirsten Dunst again, which is interesting.
I did not know they were married.
Dude, which was also interesting is what Nick Offerman as like the president in this movie was
Yeah.
crazy to me. Like I remember him from The Office, and
Yep.
so he's playing like this serious president character.
Yep. Yep.
It was just kind of an interesting departure for him from comedy, more from a serious topic. But from obviously, I didn't see this movie. You saw it, I didn't. I saw the trailer. From what I could gather, it seems like to be like a total takeoff on what's kind of going on with all this political unrest and all these
Yeah.
people and groups. Just kind of like there's so much hatred from within that it spurs something on to basically create this like civil war where the country just kind of falls apart. And what's funny about this is people don't really understand or think about this because the past seems so far away, but it's like this country isn't very old. If you talk about empires like Rome and some of these other actual old ancient civilizations, I mean they went through so many different rises and falls, and we haven't really seen anything like this except for the Civil War we had, which was as bad as it was.
Yeah.
Now with the technology and the weaponry that's there, it really is frightening.
It's crazy. It, and it starts to kind of touch upon like the whole, you know, you're gonna pry, my gun for my cold
Yeah,
cold
my
dead
cold dead
finger,
hands.
and militias and stuff, and people not wanting gun control and stuff because they want to be armed and ready in case they have to overthrow the government. And the
Yeah,
crazy thing about that is there's no weapon that any guy that's stashing stuff in the bunker underneath his house has that can really stand up to the might of like the U.S. military. Like there are weapons. By the time we see a weapon system, it has been out for some time. We just never saw it, and they're on to something even greater. So it's like the whole idea that a militia can can overtake the government is just not realistic. But the
yeah.
thing that the thing that got me about this movie, like the main characters are like photojournalists, like who are like in war combat zones and stuff like that, and they're going to try to catch some of that action.
They're
And along
documenting the happenings.
And along the way, they get into all kinds of things, and the ending is crazy. But um, it's like I said, it's just chaos, and I found myself not knowing who I was supposed to be rooting for. And the fact that they're running around with cameras, it's like how are they just running around with cameras? Like it just it's I gotta watch it again, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
probably do a little bit of research on it this time. But it's interesting. I think you should check this one out. You might
I'm
find it
definitely going to watch it when I can find it on a streaming platform. Because when I saw the previews, I really wanted to watch. Just 'cause I love Jesse Plemons too, so it's like I'm definitely one I'm going to watch for sure. And I just it's poignant to me about what could happen. I mean, people don't really think about this, but it's like if people here in the country don't realize that we actually have a lot more in common than we do, and start really working together, shit like this can happen.
Yep.
And it's like it takes just stupid ideas for people to basically draw themselves apart. And what happened if we're and imagine this, if you look at the country as a microcosm, if we're drawn apart and we can't get along within the borders of our own country, it just makes it so much easier for some other foreign enemies to come after you.
Yep. We'll destroy ourselves from within,
Yep.
making us ripe for the pickings for an outside force.
Yep,
So,
completely agree, and it's a shame. But yeah, I'll definitely check this out when it comes out. That's for sure.
yep. What do we got next?
So every man likes something a little different on his female counterparts or male counterparts or whatever type of counterpart you like. You
Yep.
like certain parts
Some
on
people just like parts.
That's right. That's right. If you're a musician, like myself or like Mo Money, we like to buy various parts. We like to see them. We like to interact with them. Some people like to buy parts and strap them on their body.
Bought my first plane. Commercial airlines are not making bigger seats, so I took the
My
matter
God.
in my own hands. Here I am inspecting my solution, my own airplane. So welcome aboard. I'm gonna show you everything. This plane is perfect for big girls
That's
like
a big
me. I
ass
think the door
plane.
is very wide so you can hop in easily. And the seats are marvelous. I won't have to buy 2 tickets anymore. I'm so happy. Now let's go to the back seats. I didn't know yet how to turn the AC on, but at least I tried every seat. This is exactly what I needed. The price.
Now the sad part is, I don't know if these are just like if these pants are literally just like the old MC Hammer pants that you just fill up with air and they basically this isn't real. But the sad part is, this could very well be real implanted surgical ass implants this woman has.
Yeah,
Don't
but it,
know.
it, it looks like it went down even to the legs, maybe, because like
Yeah.
the legs are pretty stocky too.
Now, nothing against this woman if this is actually natural. If this just happened how she happened to grow. I mean, obviously people all have different, accentuations to themselves, different pieces that popped up and got larger than others. My issue I have is the prevalence today of so many women getting these just massive fake asses.
Yeah.
And it's just not my cup of tea. Just don't like it.
Yeah. I I admit I like a woman with a little meat on her bones. I don't want a woman to be necessarily skinny. That's not really my thing. But I also don't necessarily want a woman with an ass that is just like disproportionate to her body and up top as well. Like I think that there's a natural proportion to most people. I just need a curve on it. I need the butt to
Yeah.
have a curve and up front to have a little curve, and I'm good. That's all I need. This is a bit much for me. I wouldn't. No.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I understand some women just, however they've naturally grown, certain pieces just happen to get larger than others. But in many cases, when I've seen things like this, it's literally surgical,
Yeah.
and that's the part I just don't get. Like, why are you like you're basically disfiguring yourself to get something that would just it looks so terrible to me. I don't get it, and I hope this isn't the case, but I suspect it may be to some extent. Like maybe she maybe had a bigger ass to begin with and just enhanced it with surgery. But it's like the whole Kim Kardashian thing. I never thought her ass really fit her body.
No, it
Just doesn't
doesn't.
seem to be. And I don't know if hers is natural anymore, or if she actually ended up getting some implants at some point. But just don't get it.
No, it's not natural. It just looks weird to me.
It does.
We always I don't know if you remember the movie Weird Science. You remember that movie?
Yes. Oh, I love Weird Science. I love the
Oh,
show
okay.
too. They made a sitcom with Vanessa Angel played Lisa, which she was smoking hot.
Yeah, like Lisa was like the prototypical hot girl of that era, right? And then
Also,
when they
Steven Seagal's ex-wife, in case you didn't know,
yes,
she was married to
was
Steven
it
Seagal.
Kelly LeBrock, right?
That's right. That's
Kelly
right.
LeBrock. Oh,
Kelly
she was
LeBrock.
bad. Kelly LeBrock was
Oh yeah,
bad.
Seagal. How Seagal nabbed her, I'll never know.
Yep. His hairline. Who knows with him? But like, no, he was. But you know what? In defense of Steven Seagal, he was the man at one point. He
He was
really was.
legit back then. He
Yeah,
was
he was.
legit. Yeah,
He was. He
agreed.
was. Yeah. What Nico Tusk? What was his last?
Nico
Nico.
Toscani. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There we go. Here we go. Yeah, but no, but no, and then Lisa was like this, a young man's dream come true. And
Yeah.
then when they tried to replicate Lisa for their buddies at the party, like they were doing all these really exaggerated body parts and stuff, and that was like the precursor to where we are today, where um, you ask why women do this, it's because society rewards them because there are portions of society that really craves this sort of characterized version of women. I don't find it necessarily attractive, but some people do.
Yeah, and it's gotten pushed so bizarrely that what's really weird is even when you take a woman like Kelly LeBrock, who in one time was probably considered what number one probably sex symbol in the world
Oh
at one
yeah.
point,
Oh
she
yeah.
probably wouldn't even break the field of play right now in terms of that because of everything's gotten so bizarre and like the big lips and the cheek implants and the weird shit. The bastardization of beauty, I think, is going a long way to get us closer to that civil war that we were just watching.
It is, but I hold out hope that there'll be some sort of renaissance where like natural beauty still counts. Like to me, the most attractive thing on a woman is a woman who's naturally pretty,
Yeah,
who doesn't have a lot of makeup on, doesn't have like a Crayola box color of hair, just a
yeah.
really natural sort of beauty. To me, that captures my attention. This sort of thing doesn't capture my attention. I think that this is kind of fleeting as they get older. A lot of these women are turning around and trying to reverse these procedures. They're trying to extract, things. And again, we don't know if this is just this woman's natural shape, but it's probably not. But you know, I think the shelf life of this, I don't think this is going to age well, as they would say. I don't think it's
Well,
going
I mean, worst case scenario, if something happens and we really need natural gas and oil, we can always tap that woman's ass.
to. Oh my God. Well, moving on to the next. Speaking of big things, recently in the news, we had some seismic activity in New York. Let's check it out.
I think it was that woman sitting down on the plane.
I think so too, brother. I was gonna say that. I didn't want to be rude though, but yeah.
Yo, am I in an earthquake? Who's that? Like, what the? Yo, my house is shaking.
My whole house just shook.
Oh, that was a seizure, lady.
Did we just have an earthquake?
Okay, that was an earthquake.
Come on, Pooch.
Yeah.
Okay, like the whole house is shaking right now.
Holy crap. I think we just had a freaking earthquake.
Holy crap. Holy crap. Oh my God. We're on the subreddit for NYC. Earthquake. Did anyone else feel that? What the? I've never been in an earthquake before.
Yo.
The only thing that happened in an earthquake is it probably knocked that lady's cocaine sugar bowl over.
Now she looked like she was actually enjoying that, but no. In all seriousness, no. New York experienced an earthquake recently, and it took a lot of people by surprise. I know for me, one of the main reasons why I wouldn't move to the West Coast, other than the fact that it's insanely expensive, is seismic activity. And people in places on the East Coast think that they're never going to experience it, and they found out in real time that yes, you can experience a earthquake on the East Coast too.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing to me how people, obviously we always hear about the larger fault lines and stuff that lie out west, like, San Andreas, obviously. We
Yep.
always hear about these things, and they're more popularized and probably have a lot more activity. But in reality, with the tectonic plates and the geology of the earth, I mean, earthquakes can happen anywhere
Yep.
at any time. And it's like, yeah, it's pretty funny how, yeah, they don't frequently happen, but I mean, it's obviously, it can happen. And as we just saw in New York, it did happen. It wasn't just that lady having a seizure because her cocaine bowl ran low.
No, but I think people, again, we talk about focus and people being distracted by different things that they literally forget the fact that literally the surface that we live on is ever changing. Like the surface moves,
Yeah.
tectonic plates. You have subduction. Like I took a geology course, so I'm going to show off a little bit. So you got subduction.
Nice.
You have these places where the plates meet, and one plate pulls the other one underneath, and the surface of the earth is constantly recycling itself. So we're moving. Where the continents are now isn't where they started, and it's not where they're going to end. So we're constantly moving. So when you see mountains and hills and stuff, there are forces that force that surface up. And um I worry about a place like New York that's not um probably set up and equipped to handle earthquakes on a large scale. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
imagine the real estate too. That stuff will probably
Yeah.
crumble like, like Lincoln logs.
Yeah, think about the skyscrapers that are there, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because in Cali, I believe they've constructed those buildings that have a little bit of sway to them so
Yep.
that they can withstand an earthquake. But in New York, I don't know how many buildings are built that way because I'm pretty sure that the code doesn't necessarily require it. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm sure they don't nearly have the construction variances they do for the, the ability for like the buildings to like literally shake and sway.
Yep.
Probably not nearly as much play there. And also New York, in terms of like, downtown New York, completely compressed and compacted in there. Like if you had a massive earthquake happen down there, imagine all those buildings and stuff falling almost even into each other, possibly. Like
Yep.
that's really tight down in there.
Could be a really dangerous situation. But
Yeah.
I think every now and then Mother Nature and life in general gives us these little reminders that the stability that we think we have is just an illusion, and there could be a calamity right around the corner, something that we're not necessarily prepared for. So,
Agreed. Stay vigilant.
yes, indeed. What you got?
Also requiring vigilance is the concept that people just have a disconnect in where reality comes in. And this is a nice clip about basically a well-educated woman kind of snapping back at these supposed feminist ideologues here on the show, on the Whatever podcast. Let's take a listen.
I just think you're
Can I say
brainwashed.
something?
You think I'm brainwashed?
I think that there is a lot of expectations for women to behave a certain way.
Are there not expectations for men to behave a certain way too?
Yes, there are.
I would almost argue it's easier to start a business in America as a woman. You have preferential treatment when it comes to loans, preferential hiring processes. Literally, just because you're a woman, women are the majority of college graduates. Life being a woman, I feel like in some ways kind of life on easy mode if you play into the corporate structure. They literally have empowerment programs that they don't allow men, let alone straight white men in. There's literally a multi-billion-dollar corporate push to empower women. You think I'm brainwashed, you can think that, but you also espouse an ideology that you can't even give me literally one example why you actually believe it, let alone define it, but you just slap that label on because that's what mainstream society's told you to believe. So I think you're actually the one who's brainwashed.
I'm brainwashed. Girl, you are so based.
Thank you. So just
So the conversation basically starts with these people talking about a wage gap. And what's interesting for me, before we really get into talking about this, in my entire life, I've worked with women in a few positions. Some cases, I've even had the same title as them, and they've actually gotten paid more than I have and done less work than I actually have had to do. So if there's a real wage gap out there, then I'm getting fucked.
I'm not certain about the actual wage gap because there, statistically speaking, you can find enough evidence to prove whatever point you're trying to make. So I'm not so certain about the pay gap. What I can say is that there are systems that are in place to protect and promote women. That is 100% correct.
Yeah.
I think part of the issue that we have in society today is because of the systems that are in place, there's a certain lack of accountability for some women, not all. There's some women out there that are working hard. They're pulling their weight. They're doing what they have to do, and they're not gaming people or gaming the system. But society has been set up in a way where, you know, a lot of time in a lot of ways women do get the benefit of the doubt. I know with the Me Too movement that came out, there were some women who were saying things that were maybe exaggerated, and it did cost some men dearly. But because we're taught in society to believe the woman first, um, sometimes that backfires. And if you have a person that's willing to be manipulative, then I might be going sideways here. But if you have a person that's being manipulative, you jump on this bandwagon, and now somebody's life has been ruined for something that's not necessarily true.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think that stretches out into many facets of society and where everything's come from. One of the places today is the prevalence, and we've talked about it on the show before, is even sites like OnlyFans, right? Women are the top earners on OnlyFans. Like if you and I go out and try to do an OnlyFans of some kind, our earnings aren't even going to touch what some of these women are able to earn.
Yeah.
Some of them are literally in the millions of dollars a month. This woman is I believe, another OnlyFans, model that nothing real great about her, but goddamn, she can make more money than you and I can at the flip of a switch.
Yeah, nobody wants to see my belly.
No,
Nobody
me
wants to
neither. I
see.
mean, well, and there's people out there that, there's niche people that like certain things. I mean, we can't say we couldn't sway somebody, but I kind of like the fact that this woman pointed out to her that there's a lot of opportunities for women. And I take the same stance I do with people that use there's certain terminologies they throw around when they use the words like systemic for things, right? There's no systemic force that's against women. And the reason why I'll say that is not just from the opportunities this woman just pulled out, but if there was legitimately a systemic force trying to keep women at bay or hurt from hurting them, or to hurt them, they would have never been allowed to vote. They would have never been allowed to do anything. All of this stuff has been basically given to them by men over the years, which is entertaining if you think about it, right? It's like if men really wanted to keep women out, they probably would have started a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah, yeah, really. I think of like back. God, this is gonna sound terrible because I don't remember which war. I don't know if it was one of the world wars, but basically with so many men having to be shipped off, young men having to be shipped off to fight in
Yeah.
the war, that left a lot of women back at home and a lot of industries that were suffering. So industries that had up to that point not allowed women to work in it had to bring in women to work. So when you see
Yeah.
like this poster of a
Manufacturing and
lady, I can't
Rosie
remember.
Road.
Yeah, yeah, and she's like she's flexing the muscles. She's like looking real industrial.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
that was a real thing. That was a recruitment tool because women were needed in the workforce and they stepped up in a big way. And one thing we know about society and life, once you have an opportunity and you can snatch it, people aren't going to give that up. Women still want to be empowered and they want to have a seat at the table, which they should, and they've earned it. The only issue that I have is that at the same time you have some women who want like traditional to be treated traditionally like traditional women, but they
Mhm.
want to carry themselves untraditionally, and it's like it's kind of a disconnect. So
Well, yeah, I 100%, and also to the point of when you have a ton of opportunities that other people just don't have, which happens to every class, gender, ideological. There's people that just are afforded opportunities. But what's funny is in a lot of these feminist groups is they overlook all the opportunities they have versus other people. Like she was just saying, like there most of the people that graduate college are women. Most of the people that have
yeah,
eased time, and you and I both know this from running businesses.
yeah,
It's very hard as a man to start a business and get anything. You get nothing. But
yeah.
there are literal states that will just hand out free money and equity loans and stuff to women with, just like nothing. It's just almost like free.
Yeah, there are programs and support more so now that we're starting to see support groups for men, but traditionally that hadn't been the case. Like there's nothing more despised in society than a beat down, broken down, you know, useless, sorry man. Like there's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
sympathy for him. Like the people will literally run him over in the street if he was
yeah,
like in front of their car. But like there are programs for women, and there should be. I don't say this to say that we shouldn't have this, but there are
yeah,
programs for women. If a woman falls upon hard times, she's going to get help a lot more quickly than most men will, especially a woman with children. There there's no patience or tolerance for a man in society who does not live up to to the standard. It's just that
yeah,
doesn't exist. Like you'll be shunned by society. No one's gonna feed you and clothe you. No one's
yeah.
gonna do that. No one's
100%.
gonna
They
take you
yeah,
in. You're a
they
bum. You're a bum.
completely.
If a guy's in that situation, he's a bum and a
Yeah.
loser. If a woman's in that situation, she's falling apart hard times, and society
And
has to
she's
help
been
her
she's
out.
been systemically held down. That's the whole argument here. It's like if you've got opportunities that other people don't have, you can't make the claim that you've been held down when, like you said, if you're a man traditionally in society, you have no extra breaks.
No.
And to me, that's genderless in terms of what type of man, if it's a macho man or a feminine man, or it doesn't matter, right?
Mhm.
It's just you get no extra breaks.
Yep. And
Um,
and and to prove this point, let's take a guy who has not established any value for himself. He has not gotten a job. He's not even like the most handsome guy. Because like if you good looks are good looks, and that's across the board, whether you're a guy or girl, you're gonna get certain opportunities because you look good, right?
sure, yeah, yeah,
But just in general, like an average woman working at Burger King can land a multimillionaire if she looks good enough. You,
oh,
you get
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah, totally.
Um,
Seen
she
it.
doesn't have to have a degree. She doesn't have to have any particular skill sets. She can land a guy who would put her in a certain status in society. But let you be a guy who's just a loser, average looking guy who's got nothing going for him. He's not going to get women. Women don't want him because he can't do anything for them. And
Yeah,
it's the opposite,
it's going to be the downfall of society because they're at a point now, and I've watched some shows and studies about this where basically 90% of the women are all going after the top 2-3% of the men, right?
True.
Whether it's the dating apps now, because the dating apps have basically accelerated this, because even if a woman is classified as a 2 or a 3 on the
Hmm.
chart, she's going after a 10, right?
Yeah. Yep.
If there's a guy on there that's an 8, like we're not talking about this guy's not ugly, he's attractive, he's got a good job, to the woman that's a 2, that guy is a 1.
Yeah, he's average. He's just average.
Below average. Like there's almost no average anymore. There's like from 1 to the 8 is a 0 to them now. It's gotten so bizarre and slanted
Yeah.
that there's huge repercussions down the line of this in terms of relational studies, because like you said, it's hard enough for an average man, or what we would consider an average person to find somebody. Well, now when you have the women who literally would technically fall below even where the average standard would be,
Yep.
going after the tens, there's almost nobody left.
But that's a testament to the timelessness of female beauty. Like if a woman is beautiful, she's going to get attention. But there's also the fact that men are allured by women. It doesn't have to be a woman
Yeah,
that's super
just by nature.
super. Yeah, like there's an attractiveness to women in general.
Yep.
I love women.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, you're born with it. You can't turn it off.
Yep, and sometimes it's not even a woman that's like dressed provocatively. Like I was saying, I don't care about all that makeup and stuff like that. It could be a woman that's really plain, like the all American girl next door, whatever you want to call them, and they
Hmm.
just look really plain. But it's something about that simplicity that's so beautiful and it's attractive, and you will want to be with that person. But women aren't built quite the same way. They're hypergamous, so they want a guy who's going to bring some value to their lives. He's either going to have money or he's going to have some status. He's going to do something that's going to help to elevate them. Now there are women out there that have those things themselves, but on average, like just the average woman, like you said, she could be like a two. And she's not going to want a guy that's like a five or so. Like if you
Yeah.
gave her a guy that's a two just like her, that
Yeah.
guy's invisible to her.
Doesn't even exist. Yeah.
He doesn't exist.
I agree, and it's like, and now the women have all these, some of these advantages, benefits, programs, help, assistance. They don't have to achieve anything, and they can still maybe be financially better off. Like, it's kind of tilted in the scale where if you're a woman, you have more opportunity than you've ever had in the history of humankind. Not even man or woman. You've got more opportunity now than anyone, and you're still complaining that you have no opportunity. It's like I'm the victim, and I'm also the one receiving all the spoils.
Yep. Fortunately, they're not all like that. I've got some women in my life that have been able to excel. We're
Oh
talking
yeah, yeah.
business owners, we're talking PhDs. So we
Yep.
know that there are solid examples out there. But you do have, what do they call this? The like free riders, like not
Yeah, freeloaders.
freeloaders, but like free riders, like people who get the benefits of something without actually putting in. You got some free riders that
Yeah.
are kind of piggybacking off of these women and giving them a bad name and just kind
Yep.
of like making it where people don't really want to deal with them because like okay, you're bringing nothing to the table, but you expect so much, and it's like it's kind of mind blowing.
Yep. Plus a chip on the shoulder, and it's like if one person knows about having a chip on your shoulder about your ex, it would be, a guy that used to be married to Robin Givens.
There you go. That brings us to our next segment. This is my feel good segment because I think the last couple of shows I ended like on a really sad or dark note.
Yeah, it's like
I
50,
want
60 people getting shot, little
yeah,
kids
like
getting their heads chopped off and things like that.
what the hell's going on with me? So this is a feel good sort of thing. Let's roll this video. That's Mike Tyson and Shannon Briggs in New York.
He's training, man. You don't want to, just like Mr. T said, we're
I'm
training.
getting taken
We're
care of,
serious. We're
man. I'm
training.
going in the opposite direction. A little shadow boxing going on. Let's see.
My
Still got the head and hand movement.
and Shannon Briggs, it's a big target.
Let's go, Jack. Let's go.
Yep, yep, yep. I saw this online and it nearly, it's gonna sound really cheesy, but it nearly brought a tear to my eyes. And the reason why is because I'm a huge Mike Tyson fan, and I remember the crap that this guy took um throughout his career. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people pinned him in certain corners and tried to make him out to be something that he was literally trying to escape. I think when he was with Customato was a great influence on him, and
Yeah.
he was an anchor that Mike needed. And after that, there were a lot of people that came along that just really wanted money, and they exploited him, they used him, um, and Mike was easily painted out to be the villain in many situations. And I'm not saying he's innocent because I've seen him bite a guy's ear off.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
me
know he's not
me
innocent,
too.
but I know he's not all bad either. And to see him at this point in his life where he's so happy, the Mike Tyson that was around back in like the 80s and stuff like that wouldn't have been able to play in shadow box with Shannon Briggs and have all that fun. Like he would be like
Oh yeah.
schizophrenic and like really fighting. And to see him like this, man, it just warmed my heart, bro. I nearly cried. And I know it's nothing big, it's really simple, but like I know this guy's story, and to see him come full circle like this, man, I love seeing this.
No, I completely agree, dude. I also a huge Mike Tyson fan, even from back Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I mean, I one of the few things I bought as a kid on pay-per-view that I saved my literal money for from whatever I did to earn money for little odd jobs and chores and whatever it was was buying the Mike Tyson pay-per-views. I bought numerous Mike Tyson pay-per-views as a kid, including the Evander Holyfield ear bite. Both those pay-per-views are three. It might have had 3 fights if I remember correctly. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, it's the guy's iconic in so many ways because he's such a character, but he came from just a dangerous, bad environment, right? So he always got a bad shake with some of these, these people accusing him of different things, and these things, times when he snapped and these things have happened. But just like to your point, he spent his life in a bad environment, and then he came up around opportunists. As a young age, this guy was already the top boxing champions, of the world, right?
Yep.
By 20 years old, he's pretty much world renowned at that point.
Yep.
In most circles. And it's like everyone around was an opportunist. And I remember all the Don King stuff too. And Don King, supposedly took super advantage of Mike to the point where Mike even kicked Don King's ass out on a highway somewhere, like interstate somewhere. It's like, but I mean, that's just, when you could tell Mike is sensitive too. Like, if you've ever watched Mike in his element, like Hot Boxing, I think I've watched just about every episode of that show. I don't know if he's still doing it, but for a long time I watched that show. And I mean, he's breaking down crying on that show numerous times. He's a sensitive person. And when you have somebody like that who has talent and ability, they get taken advantage of by people, and it causes them to snap sometimes. It just does.
Yep. And not to mention his upbringing, like you had to be tough to come up. I think he was born in the Catskills and he's in New York, and he's like, he wasn't, born with a silver spoon in his mouth. You had to fight,
Fight out of the streets.
Yeah. So when he's pushed in the corner, that's what he does. He fights, but then it's like, people are like surprised that the guy's like this. No, that's the way he's gonna be. But like to see him come full circle, I know he was like, had lost a lot of money, and his reputation was tarnished, and like
lost a daughter too that died really young.
Yep. And to see him be loved and to be loved by people and to love back, that is to me one of the great things about life, because you don't always get a chance to see that. Sometimes you're up and then you're down and then you die. But to see him be up, go down, and come back up, and to be so comfortable with himself to be able to share and be vulnerable, man. It sounds real mushy and soft, or whatever you want to call it. You call it whatever you want to, but I love where Mike Tyson is right now, and I'm glad I got to see it.
I completely agree, dude. This is like the biggest turnaround story out of anybody in history. I mean, this guy has been bankrupted multiple times, loss, deaths in the family, losing his mom, losing his adoptive parents, the Diamatos, right? They're both passed on.
Yep.
He went through so much terrible stuff, being thrown into the limelight and all these things at a young age, and people use that toughness, put a dog in a corner and kick him and watch him snarl. They use that to their advantage to put Mike in those situations too, because they knew what he would do when he was pushed. So, the guy was a victim for a big chunk of his life. Even as tough as he is, he's been victimized so much that I agree to see him financially on top. He's got all of his, stuff done in Las Vegas with his pot farms and every media outlet. I mean, the guy's been in all these movies now, and he's got all these boxing opportunities, and this Jake Paul fight, which I literally cannot wait for. I want Mike Tyson to just kick the hell out of him. Just not necessarily that I dislike Jake Paul that much. I think he's just a product of today's youth generation, and he's wealthy and they've done well for themselves. But I just want to see Mike do well.
You and me both. I'm gonna definitely watch that fight, and I'm rooting for Mike. I don't necessarily want to see Jake Paul get hurt, but I want to see Tyson stop this kid and teach him a thing or two, because yes, Mike is what, 60 or whatever he is, or pushing 60.
57, 58, something like that.
Yeah, he's pushing 60, but like he's got muscle memory, and
Oh, man.
his body has forgotten more than we would probably ever learn. So he hauls off and has a flashback, and I think somebody said this. I don't want to steal anybody's line, but he hauls off and catches a flashback of a killer combination. And Jake Paul is in trouble, because that's a grown man throwing a grown man punch.
Just like these movements here, watch Mike move here inside on this guy. And this guy, Shannon Briggs, is massive.
Yeah, I love Shannon Briggs too, by the way.
Oh, yeah. The guy's a powerhouse. But I mean, watch Mike really move when he gets moving in here. Like, there's no joke. Like, the guy can get inside on you when he wants to.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, impressive to see a guy like you said pushing 60 that what it took him to not only build himself back just physically, just to get back into these fighting, to be able to fight at a level he's fighting at again. Insane. I mean, it takes a special individual to do that.
Yep. And you know what? You told me about his cartoon, and you showed me like an excerpt from like one of the episodes, and I haven't found that cartoon. I gotta find it because it was
It
what was
was
the
on
name of
Adult
that?
Swim. It was Mike Tyson Mysteries. So essentially, there was it was literally like a Scooby Doo throwback show where Mike Tyson and his team travel the globe solving mysteries, and it was literally voiced by Mike Tyson, and was
Oh
one of my
man.
favorite shows of all time backwards. But it was on Adult Swim, and it's like I don't think you can really find it anywhere unless you pay
Yep.
specifically for their membership. But yeah, great show.
I remember like Mike Tyson's podcast. He had like Sugar Ray Leonard, and I think
Yeah.
it was I don't know if it was Tommy Hearns or
Yep.
it was either the Hitman or it was Hagler. I can't remember. It might have been one of those guys. And they were on there. It was Tommy Hearns. Okay, and they
Yep.
were
I'm
on
here.
there, and Tyson's like boosting him up, like he's amping him up, and then he's like kick his ass, Tommy. It's like he's like going back and forth, and you can see he's got like genuine relationships with the boxers, and it's like so much of a throwback now because like I think the relationships now, these guys are like phonies. They don't really like each other, and like
Yeah.
these guys are like they've been in the trenches. They've all done amazing things, and to see like just his relationships and how he can relate to like these younger folks and then older boxers, and I know he hangs out with isn't that Joe Rogan? Doesn't he hang with him too?
Yeah, he's been on that podcast a few. I mean, but even Evander Holyfield, right? He's
Yeah.
got a CBD chew that's basically him taking a bite out of an earlobe. It's an ear candy gummy with a bite out of it, and he's had Evander Holyfield on a commercial for that gummy, making a joke. Like him and Evander are super close as well now, and it's just crazy to see that. But to your point, yeah, these guys have some of them suffered immensely for years too.
Yeah.
They've kind of got that camaraderie there, regardless of what they've either done to each other or in throes of battle.
Yeah. Well, rooting for him. I'll definitely be watching the fight, man.
Me too, man. I will not miss it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's going to wrap us for episode 14. What do you feel about that, Mo Money? We're rocking and rolling here.
Cooking with gas, brother. I like this one. It was a little bit longer than usual, but I think we had some good content. I hope that the public thinks so as well.
Yeah, I agree. Please like and subscribe, share, check out on social media. You can find us at youtube.com/Ed Basement Brothers Podcast. And, stick around. We got many more episodes coming up.
Yes, indeed. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Take care.